Hi, I'm Annie Hardy, and you're watching Vancar. Another day in paradise. Hello?
Listen, I just need you to take my friend somewhere nearby.
This is Angela. Her and I taking a trip. Did you find me? Oh.
I just think this movie is a prime example of why I never want to do DoorDash or any of those drive mobile things ever. This movie is about I'm just gonna say a full-on Karen, and literally that's what they do. So if you didn't like that whole like Karen craze that was going on a couple years ago, where they basically were denied service or were kicked out because they weren't wearing masks or anything like that, you are so gonna hate the main character of this movie. So, which is actually a problem I have with the movie. So if you do not like that, then yeah, this is our main character. So she basically the entire movie is basically filmed on her like webcam, or not really a webcam, more like her phone or a camera that's live streaming, and all she does is perform like raps that just aren't really entertaining. But that's just me personally. And just driving around and just filming people for no apparent reason. Just why not? And she goes over to her friend, which there was a little bit of backstory between like was a part of like a band, stuff like that. It's explained in little detail, but you know the core concept is they knew each other, so let's get going on it. And it basically steals his car, and steals his car, and then like drives around trying to find like a DoorDash thing, because apparently her friend that's all he does right now, and comes across this job where she's at a restaurant where she thinks she's picking up an order, but actually the restaurant is closed. But then an old woman is there and basically says like, I need you to transport someone from this location to another location. And see, this is kind of where the movie starts not really dipping in quality, but more of like, look, I wouldn't do this. And throughout, so she accepts it, and then it's an old woman who's wearing a mask, but she keeps like doing like little things that are like nagging our protagonist, and I'm just like, good, because you suck. But then it starts taking a more supernatural turn when this woman ends up like removing the mask, and ends up her mouth is pretty much stapled shut. And so this whole mystery builds up, like, who is this woman? Why is she being transported? And then eventually throughout the course of the film, the protagonist and her friend that she stole the car with, who then tracks her down because she's live streaming the whole thing, so she knows exactly where she is. They basically, embark kind of on like a horror road trip, in a way. But yeah, they end up being like chased around and that kind of stuff. So I'll say this. I liked this movie for the majority of it. The horror aspects of it and the build up with the horror I liked. It's just our protagonist sucks. You don't care. Me personally, I didn't care about the main character because she was full on like, I hate everybody else. Basically being a huge jerk. And I'm like, I can't follow a character like that if they're the main character. Now, if a film decides to give us a really flawed character in the beginning of the movie, and then throughout the course of the movie they become a better person, then that's great. That's a great place to start. But unfortunately, this movie doesn't do that. So just the entire movie, you just don't care. You don't care about her. I did care about her friend more, but the problem is that he he's in it for a little bit and then goes away and then pops back up. But like all this like crazy stuff starts happening with him, and I'm just like, oh, you're gonna do this, all right, whatever. Which is a real shame because this is the same director as a movie called Host, which was kind of the same thing as Unfriended, but I think much better. Where with Unfriended, it was a bunch of teenagers, a bunch of jerks who I don't know how they were friends, being haunted over a Skype call, which is just hilarious nowadays. But with Host, it was, a group of friends over a Zoom call. They do a seance, and a demon or ghost or entity starts haunting them through the Zoom call, and it was very, very effective, and I really enjoyed it. It was one of my best films of the year when that came out. So I was very, very interested to see what this guy was going to do next, and it was this. And I will say this: it is creepy. There are moments where I'm like, wow, that was really creepy. Moments where I'm like, okay, that was pretty messed up. But my main problem is the main character just was terrible. You didn't care. The movie is also, it barely clocks in at an hour and 20, like a little less than that. So this was produced by Jason Blum, which after Host came out on Shudder, I believe. They signed I think it was like a couple picture deals with Blumhouse, I believe. So this was their first stab at that. I think overall this is a good film. It's not terrible. It's not bad. It's just okay. Like, I see what you guys are going for. I think the scares, it builds up. The build up is really good, and the execution sometimes is really good as well. But I just wish the character was written way better, and then the end was crazy, but the way it was with the characters, it was like, oh, come on, you went the complete opposite of what I hoped you were gonna do and what I wanted you to do. So then I was like, all right, whatever. So I think overall this movie gets, I think, an average. It would get a fine if there weren't some characters that kind of were basically like asking main character, like, what are you doing? Like, are you serious? Or the creep factor wasn't all that good. If it wasn't for those things, it would have gotten a lot lower. But overall, I think this was a good movie. Like I said, if you can get past the just the complete incompetence of the main character, and if you can get past that, then I think you'd be fine. But for me, character writing is a big thing for me. And when I see characters that aren't written very well, but then, they don't learn anything, that's where I draw the line on just terrible characters. And I'm just like, you didn't learn anything from this, so there's no hope for you, I think. So that's just me. But overall, I enjoy this movie. If the characters were written better, I think this would have gotten a much higher grade, maybe a great. But for right now, it's just an average. So, but yeah, this movie showed me that maybe being a Lyft or DoorDash or Uber Eats driver maybe not be such a good thing. So, yeah, that's a good PSA. So, there you go.
She found us! She's here!
What? Hey, what was that?
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what the f***?
Where are you going? Where are you going?